Hello and welcome to Kushti TV, the straight talking YouTube channel. As always, you remember to click and subscribe. You keep giving this way and I'll keep giving you the content. Today's content, yes, my guest today is the legendary Mr. Wally Stockings. Yes, he's been on our show before. He's one of Britain's hardest men, an unbeaten bare knuckle fighter, ex-professional boxer, and of course he served 25 years in jail. Served, not sentenced, served 25 years. Today we're going to touch on the most famous fight that he was involved with ever seen at Epsom Downs, the famous Epsom Downs, yes, the most famous fight ever seen there, witnessed. He was involved, and we're going to touch on that wonderful fight that's still spoke about today, and some of his humour and stories in prison. Yes, so it's all yours, all your pleasure. As I say again, not Netflix, not YouTube, no other fancy channels, right here, Kushti TV. It's all your pleasure. Yes, welcome to the show again, Mr. Wally Stockings, the legend himself.
Nice to meet you.
How have we been, brother?
Not too bad, up and down.
Up and down, yeah, rolling away.
Rolling away like we always do.
Yeah.
Ducking and diving, stuff this fun.
Yeah. So tell me, let's have a little start. We're going to touch on them. We're a bit later on going to touch on some of your fights, and we're going to touch on the most famous fight ever to Epsom Downs, that famous battle you had with Irish traveller Johnny Doherty. Yeah. But before we go there, you've served 25 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A long time.
25 years in Nick. You have served with the likes of a great friend of yours, Joey Pyle.
A friend, Ronnie Fields, a
good friend of yours, Ronnie Field.
Yeah, the oldest one, the Craig brother.
Charlie Craig.
Yeah, and Pat McCann.
Pat McCann, yeah.
And a few other faces who I mentioned their names, who I've been with. Boxer's Tom, in jail with him.
Yeah.
Down Norwich, that's where he was at, in Norwich jail. That was a rough jail down there. And I've been in several jails, at Parkhurst, Albany, very rough jails. You got to survive in there. If you got a man, you can be picked on, you can be bullied is in a jail like in them jails.
No doubt.
You got to defend for yourself and fight for yourself. Is in there. If you can't hold your hands up in there, then you can get bullied. But a lot of prisoners, a lot of the old school prisoners don't like that bullying.
No,
that's not a kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. These days it happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
It do happen a lot.
Apparently they're very violent places, much worse than they were back in the day.
Now the jails are very rough, and not like in the days when I done time. You could, if an old boy come on the wing, you show him respect.
Look after him and all that, yeah.
You show respect, but these days there's no respect now.
No respect now.
You get a knife in your back, you get plunged up on the wings. So
yeah.
That's prison for you now these days. That's where.
So even prisons change.
Over the years it's changed. Like old Frankie Fraser, you had in them days. You had top boys, Ronnie Field, Joe Pyle, all top boys in imprisonment. People didn't fuck about with you in there.
Yeah.
It was like they say, you show your respect. You have a fight. Shake hands, over and downward. No kicking, nothing like that. And then it was like fighting outside.
Yeah, it's law and order, even in prison almost.
Like the gypsies do now, They fight bare knuckles, shake hands afterwards, but now, them days is gone.
Even that's gone sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, no fair play.
So you mix with all these dangerous, rough, tough men, but you got on well with them. And but tell us, so we know you've been all through the hard bit, but tell us, tell us a little bit about some humour. We're doing a bit of research. Tell us how you ended up on the boat. You started a journey. Tell us a bit about that.
I had a row on the wing one day in Wandsworth.
Yeah.
And this fellow got upset. I had a punch it was, but with my bit of record, a punch, what the screws fit, it can lead to a lot more.
Yeah.
But they got hold of me, said blah blah blah, tomorrow you're being shipped out to it's a weird. Never heard of the Jam Life, it's a boat. We'll float some water.
In Weymouth in Dorset.
Yeah, they float some water. So they give me the job when I first got in there. They said, do you want a job, Smithy? I went, yeah. Screws all know me because the other screws was told who's coming and a bit of pass a bit of bad record on.
Yeah.
Right? So they give me a job as a barber. So I had no sinners. I had no sinners at all. All I had was a number one, where you've got a slot on to the shears, and there was like things like that, clippers where you press like that.
Yeah.
Right? Not barrel ones. There was what you call hand ones, which you clip, right? Number one, number two. So everyone who come to me, they give me a bit of backer to do a haircut. And they'll ask for a trim up.
You didn't get a short back and a side.
Well, they have a number 1 or number 2. No. Yeah, they didn't like it, did they?
So you was actually a barber. Yeah. Zero qualifications. You imagine all your vanity's gone. Yeah, you've gone into prison for the first time, you want a haircut, and you got Wally on a pair of hand-driven shears, number 1 or 2.
And I've never cut hair at all.
And what,
in my life.
And what happens when they ask for a number 3?
When they have to go without me. I could do a number 1, but you have to get a razor blade to shave the hair.
What was the funny, I quite a bloke wanting your breakfast when you was in jail with Lester Piggott at the same time?
Yeah, that was, where was it, where you said, Joe, early on? Lester Piggott, Newmarket.
Newmarket, yeah. Was it Northide?
Yeah, Northide, yeah. And I'm down there, and in them days you got to queue up along the queue, like you had a stainless steel tray, and as you walk along the thing, you pick your bit of food up, like that. Well, just big Nigerian behind me, he's a basketball player, one of them big old lumps.
Yeah.
He said, I want that. I said, do you want anything else, mate? I said, because if you're going to have the breakfast, you might as well have it. And all of a sudden, you only get a breakfast once a week in there.
Right.
That's a good meal for you.
Yeah.
It's a nice meal at breakfast. So I turns around.
So he wanted what, the eggs, the bacon?
Yeah, he wanted the eggs, bacon, sausage and all. And I think he wanted, you get a bit of bubble, don't you like bubble?
Yeah.
You get a bit of bubble. He didn't want that. He wouldn't even leave me the beans and dip in the bread. Right? So I picked the ashtray, swap, so I hit him around, I think, no, it's the tray.
Yeah.
Hit him a stainless steel thing, bust him. He went to run to get the baseball bat. The screw said, no, leave it to him. Leave it.
How had he got a baseball bat in there then?
Well, the baseball bat, Joe, is right in the middle where there's a big gym.
Yeah.
Where the boys go training, do football, running, five-a-side football and all that, yeah?
Yeah.
And you go there, if you want to play outside the way your unit's at, you can play like football, because it's very big old size it is, right? Down there. You can play football, you play cricket, all that.
Yeah.
And they have baseball bats.
Yeah.
Right,
so he's had that.
Yeah, but they've got to bring them back after a certain time, Joe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I suppose he never took this one day. He left it there because he was going after he had his breakfast, and my breakfast, to have a game, I suppose.
Yeah.
That was the truth.
Well, he's trying his luck,
and that was the truth of it, right? So he turned around. I thought, so you're going to have it now. Full stop done. If I didn't, it would either pop me up and beat me up. Because that's what's going to happen.
Single swimming,
if I let him done what he's already done, and what he's already took the grub, so I might as well do something else. So I picked the tray up, smashed him around the face with the tray, run upstairs, he's waiting for me.
Which is out of your character, it's normally Anne's, but I suppose the breakfast that was on your tray probably upset you, didn't
it did,
You give him all the breakfast on that,
you've got to think, Joe, you only get that kind of breakfast once a week. You don't get it every week, bro.
Yeah.
You don't get it every week. In there, right?
Special Sunday breakfast.
Yeah, so it's a Sunday, a good breakfast. My brother Jimmy would tell you that. He's done a little bit, but Jimmy would tell you all about that. So anyways, I runs up the wing. The wings are very small, but he's standing there, put his hands up, hit him 2 times around the body, once on his jaw. He went, good night. Next day they said, no, I lied to you. In the morning, it was a bit late, I knocked on the doors, all late. I said, what's going on here? I must have said, go out. I might have been getting shipped out of jail. That's what I thought. Next minute, bang, he's gone, away, shipped out.
Oh, he's shipped
to
out.
another unit, somewhere like across the road.
Do you reckon he wouldn't be so quick to pick somebody's breakfast up next time? If lesson learned, you reckon?
I think he might have learned.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he'd pick Lester Piggott's food up. You know a bit on Remand, Joe, yourself.
Yeah, I've done a couple of little bits on Remand.
Have you got many stories to tell?
Well, I've got funny.
Or was you pretty quiet?
No, I'll tell you what, well, I've got a couple of stories to tell. My proper prison thing was in Edinburgh prison.
Do you have any experience of it?
I went and, well, yeah, I had a laugh in there. It was me and my brother, John, Gary Nichols and Steve Bradley. The 4 of us got nicked and remanded. So, anyway, we remanded in there for a couple of weeks. And there's this Scottish travelling fella in there. And it's a funny wing roll, really, because you're all together and there ain't no category of he's dangerous, he's not. You had poor old boys in there, fucking helpless, sort of homeless almost.
Rough and ready.
You know what I mean? Homeless top people. And then you had people waiting to go and do like 30 years for murder. And some serious people in there. But as you know, there was about number 3 in the world powerful man, a Polish fellow. He was all right, a nice fellow. He was just good and respectful and that. And there was another fellow I befriended in the exercise yard there. He was all right, Mikey. He turned over a couple of bullies badly, but he's an hard man himself. But this Scottish traveller was sitting around the table, and I had gout on my football. I'm hobbling around with full-blown gout.
That's what I suffered with that.
Yeah, and I'm reminded I'm 400 mile away from home. Now, I ain't best pleased anyway, you know what I mean? And I'm hobbling around, and this Scottish travelling fella, was trying to make a bit of a name for himself. My brother's like 6'8" mountain John, and he's one of the biggest men you've seen. He's like 25, so a massive man. And but me and John are cut from different cloth. We're brothers, we're very similar. We're nearly the same, but we're a bit different. And he says, where are you from? He said, John Smith, he said, also known as Stockings, is from London. He went, oh, I've been looking for you for years. Yeah, he's trying to have a bit of a joke, half trying to impress his mates on the table.
Yeah.
And I just is in no mood at all. And I walked straight up, he didn't see me beside him, and I said, you found him? He said, what? I said, you fucking found him. You've been looking for him for fucking years, and you fucking found him, he's in front of you. What the fuck are you going to fucking do about it? Because I was losing it, yeah? So what the fuck are you going to do? And I was on one leg, I was fucked, but I had the other leg in 2 hands. Yeah. I said, what the fuck are you going to fucking do about it? He's right here in front of you. Come on. And he went, no. And then all of a sudden, on that side of the landing, we was pretty much covered, and the other side, but we're all having a game of tennis and fucking pool or something together, when we were let out, hour a day, whatever it was. And yeah, so that was that. We sort of stood up round with this travelling fella, I did, and that was message clear, and we wouldn't be messed around. And to be honest with you, it wasn't a bad win after that, but the amount of, I couldn't make out, well, people, the amount of things they were snorting up.
Did you do long then, John?
Only 2 weeks. But there was, I mean, we nearly got a 6-month laydown, but the amount of people sniffing up an headache pill if they had naked, they're all over the fucking place. But there were some decent fellas there, but one of the humorous stories I like, the fella, it's in the short space of a couple of weeks on the exercise yards, befriended a fella called Mike. You just tell he was actually serving the dinner, yeah? And there's junkies there that don't want to eat well, weighing 7 or 8 stone.
They don't eat no food, do they?
They don't want to eat. And he said, how the fuck am I, he said, meant to give all equal portions, right? As you would know a lot more than me, all equal portions, right? How the fuck am I meant to give that 7, 8 stone junkie who don't want food, the same amount of food as your brother who's 25 stone, who's as big as a nose? And I thought that was quite funny. But we went down to see our solicitor, and we're in a waiting room, and there was another Scottish traveller, and he might be out there listening, and I'll never forget his name. His surname was Davy, and they're a big name in Nyes around Edinburgh. And he went, hello my cousin, you're travellers. I went, we are, in London. And anyway, he said, I've heard of you, and I said vice versa, and he said to me, if there's anything you need some clothes, anything shipped in, money, anything, any messages, anything we can do for you. And that meant an awful lot. Well, I said, thank you very much.
That showed respect.
Exactly. I said, thank you very much. He was in there for it, and somebody too hard would have left off, I remember that. And I said, thank you very much. But no thanks, because we've got it all coming. But that meant so much, and went back second time of asking for bail, we got it, and I got not guilty on the trial anyway.
Oh, that was good, mate.
So that was the result. But that was my couple of funny stories.
Well, maybe you get locked up over something.
Yeah, well,
you was on remand, a big John.
Well, yeah, that's right. But the strange thing is, though, well, I mean, it was only just it turned out we got not guilty. But the thing is, you can't get a surety bail. My mates were flying out from London saying, oh yeah, we're going to put £1 million bail up, you get out tomorrow. They said there's no surety bail in Scotland, so no security bail. And then we would have had a 6-month laydown. But the good thing is we would have had a trial in 6 months. I said, that's a lot of fucking good when you get off. But so we nearly got a 6-month laydown, only turned out a couple of weeks. But thankfully, my 2 weeks was plenty enough for me. Yeah. I wouldn't fancy doing the amount you've done.
It's rough when you do a big bit of blood. Like I say, you're going in hard jails, you're meeting people who you you never met in life, but people you wouldn't even have it outside.
Yeah, well.
And that's the kind of people you meet in jail. You meet the rough ones from the bad ones in there. I mean,
Yeah, well,
it's like you had, like you just said, you met some good fellas.
Yeah.
And you met some scumbags in there.
Well, I just remember meeting boys in there facing 30 years, yeah, for that, and they then said it was a minus crime.
Yeah.
There was stuff that could have been avoided. They was trying to prove a point, went too far. They even tried to drop one. I remember one story, tried to drop a fella off outside the hospital to make sure he was well, but he died. Nobody see him in the snow, and he died of hypothermia and the injuries they give him. So and you're thinking, what a waste of that life, this life. You see some strange things in there, well, even in that short space of time.
You see a lot of funny things is in jail when screws taking the piss out of prison, mate, or what they've done, and the force, or what they do use.
Yeah.
But you get some good old screws in there.
Yeah, well, that's
then you get the bad ones. They think they want to make a name for themselves.
Well, you've got good and bad. Even in that short space of time, one screw said you shouldn't fucking do this. And I said, fuck off. I had railed him straight away. I said, fuck off. I said, you don't even know what's happened. So shut your mouth and fuck off. I had railed him before when we were getting checked in. But we went on the wing, the screws are right. I mean, they're doing their job. What's the point while we're being...
In my brother Jim, when he was doing his bit of time, they were going, Jimmy was calling badges, all the names and that one we had him. I can't say that because your daughter's there, you know what I mean? The names that Jimmy called the screws, you never believe it.
But don't always do any favours then.
No, it don't help me out, Joe. You're better off just kidding to them. And you can look after them. But when you kid them, and then when they won't give it to you, it gets you upset with them.
Well, the film, the famous Scottish gangster Jimmy Boyle, what was the name of his film now? It's an amazing story, but it was a typical case of he went against the screws kept serving him up, and he went on another wing, and his time of rehabilitation, or like when he see the penny drop, he had a parcel come in a box, and the screws wouldn't let him have that plastic bottle nearby. And on this particular screw, he just went, you've got a box of parcel with a piece of string, and he was trying to undo the knot, and the screw went in. Maybe that'll help you. I'll give him a penknife. So he was not used to this. He trusted him, and this trust, and suddenly the man completely, that way of life was then gone, and forward, onwards, upwards, and he's a changed man.
But like you
unbelievable.
Said, you can get some good old screws in there, and you do get the scumbags who thinks they're the main bods of it, and they're worse than the police.
Yeah. Well, it's the same as police. Well, when you get good policing, we need it for society. When you get horrible policing, when they bully and fit people up.
I want to make a name for herself.
It's just at other people's expense. Yeah. Anyway, so enough about the inside life.
Let's talk about the outside.
Let's talk about the most famous fight ever to hit Epsom Downs. And when I say most famous fight ever to hit Epsom Downs, most spoke about even today. It happened in 1979, so that's what, 43 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's the most famous fight. It was a famous fight in the 80s with Bobby Frankham and Irish Traveller Bibby Wall, both professional boxers. In fact, they copied something out of the snatch from Bobby, one of a couple of Bobby's moves. That was a famous fight.
That was a good fight,
Yeah, a good fight, and a famous fight, but not as famous as yours against Irish Traveller Johnny Doherty. We're going to touch on the moment.
It was done in a boxing ring, wasn't it?
How did it start? Tell us, what did it start over? Let's go for it.
If you want to know the full story of it and the truth of it, because you can only get the truth of the bottom man who's speaking now.
Yeah.
It started over a fiver. It's a £5 arse. Well, I'm not going to bet my dad's tails, am I? I bet my dad's heads on. So my dad chucked the coins in the air, bang, 2 heads. I was just father. I said, I tell you, I didn't know his name was Johnny in them days. But so I said, have you got the £5? He said, but Jesus, he said, I'll fight you for the favour. I went, eh? So my dad heard it, and what he said, and Johnny Frank and that, and they made a ring, like it's the gambling ring, Joe. The gambling ring.
Yes, let's just give the viewer a bit of insight, because I know. So what the travellers would do, in the middle of Epsom Downs, they'd have what they call a gambling ring, and everybody'd stand outside the ring. The man that would spin the coins, there would be 2 old Victorian pennies, yeah, Wally? The old pennies, right?
That's correct.
2 old pennies, decimalisation pennies, quite big round pennies. They would set them on tails. That's correct. They would spin them in the air, and you could back, if they come down heads, if you back heads, you would win. If they come down tails, you lost, or vice versa, yeah? if they come down one of each, they called them ones. So you'd respin till you had a set, like a pair of heads or tails.
That's right.
And all these gambling men, all these travelling men, there would be a few non-travellers venture into it.
They'll have a look around. Like on a Derby day, it was Derby day. Funny enough you say that.
Which is a Wednesday in them
Yes,
days.
in them days.
Yeah.
And Derby day, like you've got a lot of people coming off the coaches, having a look, see what the gypsies are doing around there. I will say gypsies. They are most of the gypsies.
No, nearly 99.9%. You might have had the odd East London gangster or St Crook that come up from that weren't travellers.
Yes, you did. Yes, to see what was going on with the coins and have a bet. Yes, it did. As you understand.
Or even and South London gangsters, and all different sides.
Them spinning coins, that happened years ago, around Rockies, Mitcham, like the non-travellers would spin coins. And they come up to Derby, especially to have a little
gamble. So this is the picture. So it's just, they had a square ring made of scaffolding pipe.
That's correct.
Right. So it's like a small size boxing ring, shape exactly the same, square boxing ring, but shape.
You had 2 men in the rings.
Square scaffolding.
Yeah, you had 2 men in the ring, and they was your casters.
So they were seeing fair spinning.
Yes.
Weren't they? So they would say if it was a dodgy spin or ones, they would tell you what the coins was. Or they were bar or spin if it was looking dodgy, because people did have a way of what they call flamming. It looked like the coin was turning, and it wasn't, and it would actually turn because it was on a flat plastic sheet, wasn't it?
That's correct.
And they wouldn't bounce, they would just plop. So if they did flam, these men in the caster ring were normally hard men and major reputations, and they wouldn't be fooled around, and they received a small fee for looking after each set. So if you won 100 quid, you had to give them a fiver. But at the end of the day, they'd be the ones with their money bulging because they couldn't lose, right? So that's the picture painted for you. So you've had a dispute out the ring over who's back heads and tails.
It's a fiver, over five. So he said he'd fight me. So they made the ring go in the gambling ring, and then the fight kicked off.
So who's seeing fair play, Wall?
Johnny Frankham, Sam Frankham.
Yeah.
And my dad was in the ring, and my Uncle Amos chucked out the ring 3 or 4 times. Funny enough, I say that, he did get chucked out.
But predominantly Johnny Frankham and Sammy Frankham are the fair play men. Obviously your dad's close to you because you're his son and he's making sure everything's fair and fit. Yeah. But Johnny Frankham needs a little introduction, and Sammy Frankham a force to be reckoned with himself.
Well, we was British champion at the same time.
British champion, and Sammy was an high level fighter.
Well, Sammy was as good as Johnny.
A little bit behind maybe, but not by a lot, was he?
No, not by a lot, but he was alright. No, Sam was alright. He could have a go, he wouldn't back.
Well, top fighter, I think, a hard puncher, wasn't he?
He wouldn't back away from that one.
No. So, I mean, as you say, when you're talking about as good as John, you've really got to go somewhere. Sam was a good, recognised fighter. So they're seeing fair play, and the Doherty family, Johnny Doherty, his first cousins were the now famous Paddy Doherty, and Paddy Doherty's father was Simon Doherty, who was friends with you and Jimmy and your dad, Simon Doherty. He used to travel a bit.
He used to travel a bit, and he used to go up the downs. I was spinning also.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He liked the gamble himself, old Simon. Yeah. He loved the gamble, so I was a nice man.
Yeah, I know he's good friends of yours. This is good to hear. So when this fight broke out, there ain't any malice. It's two young men going to fight. You're a current professional boxer at the time.
I was a professional at the time, Joe.
And Johnny Doherty's about to turn professional.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Now you're sort of age, what, 19, 20?
19.
Yeah, and he's age 17, 18?
He's a little bit, I think he's a little bit older than me, a little bit older.
Oh, was he a bit younger? And he carries a weight advantage.
Yes, he was a bit broader than me, a bit bigger than me, yes.
But he's a boxer as well, and he knows, you both know how to go to work, that's for sure. So, the scene's set. Now you're in this square steel scaffolding,
but no one could get out. So I said, the agreement was anyone go down, you step back like you do.
Yeah.
No kicking, no grabbing. If you do, or the first one saying they've had enough, then you stop.
Yeah.
And it went on for a bit of time. Johnny said, "Water, had enough," and that was it. He did launch a kick, and old John Franklin said, "Fair play." He said he did apologise for that and done. But it was a good fight. For the time it lasted.
I was told it was a cracking fight, and I was told it's one of the most famous fights, and you couldn't. you think of a boxing ring, but the square gambling ring's not as big as a boxing ring. It's probably about a full-size boxing ring, half, isn't it?
Yes.
So there's really, is that about right?
Yeah, I was about half the size of a boxing ring.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got nowhere to go, and you're both fit.
You've got nowhere to run. You've got to stand there and rock and roll.
And you just got to go with it, and there's nowhere to go. No. And I think that's what made it such a fight, because you already had the crowd there around the gambling ring in the hundreds.
Well, put it this way, one of the vans, a van up a dance, the roof caved in where there were so many people watching it.
Yeah.
And there was people like around them watching it, and they were seeing that kind of thing in their life.
Yeah.
And for them to watch that, when it was like there was people in them days taking photographs, but they come to watch the racing, not to watch that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when they never seen the gypsies is have a fight, a bare fight, and never seen that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was a pleasure for them to watch.
Well, there is a picture somewhere on one of the movies of the Queen in the royal box, and it's reported, it's never proven, that because where the gambling ring was, trust me, the royal enclosure to the racecourse is only about 150 yards, 200 yards. It's just up the hill, over the course, and it's probably 150 yards.
Yeah, that's what you can see. And look from the top of the course, look down. You can see from where the Queen's at. You can see down, Joe.
So the Queen looks down. There's some serious. I've seen the footage. She's looking down through binoculars. Our late Queen, Queen Elizabeth. She's looking through binoculars, and the royal enclosure is only 150 yards.
Not even that, Joe.
Yeah,
looking down from where she was at the top bit, looking down, it would be.
And it's rumoured she's watching your fight. That's never been proven, seriously, but there's a serious chance it was fact. We've definitely got footage of her doing this, zooming into the crowd.
But they did say on that day, Derby, knowing the next day you get like what happened. I said when they said the gypsies was saying was going on there.
Yeah.
On that day, when they were filming it.
Yeah.
Is the daughters coming down the bit of pathway that leads down to the mile and a half bit.
To the start,
Yeah.
Mile and a half start, Derby start,
But they was filming that bit, and that's just down the bottom there was where the boxers. The fight started there.
Yeah, so you're 100%, and I mean every single piece of Derby Day was filmed, and that's why there's reported that the Queen was looking down in that direction, and it was reported that she was watching the fight as well. Now, how long did it last? I'm told about 15 minutes.
Well, 15 is about that,
Yeah. And I told it was a cracking fight, but you just started finding your rhythm a little bit more and putting it together.
I just got my bit of toes and moving about and on my bit of toes and going in, and that's how I fight, Joe. No matter, even as pro and outside the ring, I wouldn't give a man too long to rest.
Yeah,
and that's
relentless type fighter.
But Johnny was a good boxer also. So
and what I really like about this story, well, it was a fight. You had shook hands, and you get on well with Johnny to this day. Just after this, just within a few days, or a week or so, your dad tragically gets killed, and Johnny Dockley's at your dad's funeral.
Yes, and they pulled
with his uncle Simon.
Yeah, that's right. To have a talk.
Yeah,
with old Simon.
Yeah. I mean that's. How nice is that though? So one week you're fighting, next minute you're showing gratitude to your dad. And I think what made it so famous is because the day it was on, Travis had stopped before at Epsom a few days before and a few days after. It was actually Derby Day. It was bang on, the place was rammed, the gambling ring was full, the Queen was supposedly looking out, and your dad's van got used as a grandstand. It got flattened. He said, we'll use that again if we need to. And beyond all that famous fight, I still go on about it, but the best thing is you shook hands and your mates. So really there's no losers, isn't there? When a man mixes it, of course the winner's happier than the loser, but when a man mixes it that well and a straightener, the other bloke ain't lost, is he? He needs applauding as well, really, doesn't he?
No one's lost. When he's come there, he's fought his bit of guts. He's done good. You can't blame. It takes a good man to get have a better fight.
Yeah.
And the one who loses, one who wins, or whatever. I wish they're both the best like if I watched two boys fight.
Exactly.
It takes two good men to get in a ring and have a fight.
Exactly. No, exactly that. Yeah, just touch on something. You went out racing one day, you and your brother Jim, talking about, you had a famous fight there, but you also done a bit of Royal Ascot, didn't you? So you've had Epsom Downs fight, Derby Day,
I did,
Gold Cup Day, Royal Ascot, ain't a bad old place to fight. What happened there?
Well, that was with a fellow called Mark James.
Yeah.
And, well, what happened, I walked through the door, but the year before that, cut the story short there, the geezer got his motor stolen.
Right.
Yeah. I went to say, ask someone, did they have a set of keys to start the motor up there? But we had that here, so he thought we stole his motor.
So in them days you could jingle a key, so you've lost yours, you're not going to want to try and start.
So he thought we stole that motor, obviously. So he goes, I just walked into the pub like normal, like you do. Wash! Come from nowhere. Hey, mate. Landed on the jaw, put me through the door.
So you come through the doors, yeah?
Yeah.
And you've landed beside Jim's feet apparently.
Aaron's outside, Jimmy is outside, and I threw the other boys. Alright? And Albert, what's happening? Someone's hit me in there. Jimmy walks in there. He said, who's hit my brother? He said, I did. He said, what's hit my brother with? He said, I'm sure I stole my mother. He said, now, he said, you got to fight him.
Yeah.
Anyway, they made a ring in the pub, bang, 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 done him. Old Bill come there, dragged the three of us out like I do, dragged me up, put me in a pan, a car, whatever, and they took me through things. Anyways, they took us back to what do you call it, a Bracknell police station.
Yeah.
And it was sitting there, the geezers coming to me with two black eyes. Mark James.
He's put you in the same cell?
Yeah, put me in the same cell with him.
Oh, so is that deliberate or what?
I think it was just test out, she was the one, if we was the two who were fighting.
Right,
That's
yeah.
what they wanted to know.
Yeah.
So, it turned around and Dan said, he said, who had the squirt? He said to me, squirt. Oh, I don't know. I know, didn't have it, but I don't know that at all.
Oh, somebody got sprayed ammonia?
Yeah, ammonia, someone got sprayed ammonia.
Apparently there was a bit of a fight though, beer bottles in glasses going on.
Then I put me in a cell, I put him in with old Aaron. He asked Aaron, he said, who done my face? He said, I don't know, brother, I was only looking around, watching it. Because that old boy couldn't fight him, he had a go, he couldn't fight, know. And his boy got nicked, I think they chucked him in a cell, but he was only young then, he was young.
Yeah.
Well, look, not Luke, was no Joseph,
Yeah.
Was only young in them days.
So you've had a fight on Sandown races?
Yes.
What happened there?
Well, what happened there, it was a fight, but I did jog the man. Well, Jimmy jumped on the man's bonnet, right, for a laugh like you do. And the man went with a little sports car.
Right.
Man skinned off, Jimmy's gone on the floor, flat on his ass, right? So Jimmy shouted at me, hit him. So I hit him. Tom was shoved out of Sandown racecourse around the corner. Blackwood Gambles, there was a while for
We
us.
better tell the viewer at home what shav means.
Shav means bolt. Run.
Run.
Shav means bolt, you gotta run.
So you were young and mischievous. I mean, you've got to be honest. So you jump on a bloke's sports car, he ain't going to be happy. Jim's at fault, isn't he?
Yeah, because Jim jumped on the
But
first.
then Jim's got the umps, he's
And the
pushed off on the floor.
The man spun off and chucked him on the floor and bolt.
So we've now done
Sandown?
Epsom, Sandown, Ascot.
Yeah.
You definitely ain't coming to Goodwood with me, no way.
I think that there's any more of a browser.
Well, you're still off.
Yeah.
I tell you what reminds me, now, every time I go racing, nearly every time, because there was always, in the southern racetracks, always jelly deals, right?
Yeah.
And I love me jelly deals. But now I make sure I take my jelly deals. But whilst I'm talking about jelly deals, what happened outside of the famous Tubby Isaac's jelly deal store in East London? You had a fight there?
Yes, that was me, my Uncle Joe, and Albert and his two boys, or three boys, yeah, three boys, yeah. We went in the ABAs because they was at school. They got disqualified, Joe, right? And I've gone back into it, but they said no. The officials went. I rang up Albert said, "No, you boys can't box them, right? Can't box." So as Uncle Joe wanted the bowl of hills,
yeah,
like the old boy did. He said, "I'll come all the way in." And he said, "No fights."
And they got a bowl of jelly
So
deals.
just get a bowl of jelly deals and Tubby Isaac.
Yeah.
So the old boy's got his bowl of hills up. He's eating his bowl of hills. He said, I'm not even going to curl him. This chap, he was being a saucy, cocky. I mean cocky, very saucy, right? And Al was a Christian, ain't he? A Christian, he don't want to fight with you. Right, he goes, me? I said, what's he? This man carries on, Joe's going to knock it out. Oh, Dolly, he's going to shove her. One shot, put him dead on the floor, out cold. Uncle Joe said, no, it was coming, boy.
Yeah, you had to shove
Chad was out cold.
Big old lump?
Yeah, big lump, he was out cold.
Was it over the vinegar or the salt, pepper or something? What was it
I
over?
don't know, Joe, but I think it was over to digest and fix it.
It's over something, over the
Yeah.
Jimmy Hill store.
Yeah, it was over. It was over. It'd be a bit mouthy, man. Be a bit mouthy, so I had to pick my sleep.
He decided to. He didn't have to. He just
Well,
decided
no, I was doing because it'd been a bit mouthy.
to. Yeah, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
So you've had some weird and wonderful places to fight. haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing some weird jails. I've had loads of fights in jails, mate.
So you reckon you could possibly come back to the show because we've touched on the most famous fight, cracking fight it was, Epsom. We've touched a bit on the prison humour. You've even got me talking about prison. And some of my viewers out there, I mean, I'm a good guy. I'm a reformed bloke. I go to church up the road here. I'm a good guy. You get me talking about prison.
You say church, I've been to church in prison. In prison, and there's no harm in a man going to church.
I'm not at all, thank the good Lord.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm hoping, I mentioned no names, so I'm going to get a prison chaplain on and he's going to tell me some weird and wonderful stories. He's also friends with a famous boxer.
Yeah.
Come up hopefully, and we're going to touch on the good Lord. Anyway, so Wally, thanks for joining us today. I think it's absolutely some weird and wonderful stories.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in to see us, and do you reckon you come back with some more? Would you save some more stories up?
Yeah, I will say some more. But how do you think it's gone today without me drinking?
Oh, I think I could get a couple of light hours, it'd be even better, won't
Will you do me a favour?
Go on.
Just make sure you tell Brother Jim.
Oh, I'll tell you, you ain't
know.
know.
Is that done?
Hope you've enjoyed. Click and subscribe, give us some feedback. In the meantime, Box Clever.
Blah, blah.